Namaste. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my Friday tarot chat, though today it is an oracle card chat. And today we are going to dive into some use oracles all the time, or whether you are just beginning your journey with cards. There is going to be something in this video for all of you. So welcome. Hello, my name is Sadhana. I'm an intuitive reader and healer. And on Fridays, I'm here talking about working with tarot, working with oracle, and sharing my journey through the many years of experience that I've had. So lovely to have you here. And please be sure to leave a comment if you are coming back and watching the replay. I love to hear from you, whether you're here live on Fridays or not. Welcome, Audrey and Danielle. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank, I've only had 2 people register for March 11th, this banner that's scrolling across the bottom. I am running 3-hour workshops, and this will be a private live stream on YouTube. And I will be sharing with you by planet all of the tarot cards that are associated with the 7 original planets. And we'll be looking at some of the association to the planetary deities, as well as lots of different associations. And so this will be about a 3-hour chat, usually the first Saturday of the month. And if you're interested, go to my shop and you can sign up there. Welcome. Hello to you, Mira. So today we are going to be looking at tarot decks. And this was a sort of a change of schedule because I realized I couldn't cover everything in one video. So today we're going to look at oracle decks that do not have a system. And then next Friday, I will come back and we'll start to unpack decks that do have a system. Okay. Because I think um, the complexity of decks that have a system is just needs a little bit more time. All right, and I could mash them all together, but I think this is much better. And I'm also going to talk today single card draws and give you some great questions to use for your daily draws. Okay, Donna, what's going on with Donna? Oh my goodness, I hope that it passes by your place. Yeah, welcome to lovely to have you here despite the weather, and I hope the internet stays on for you. Okay, so oracle decks without a system. One thing that I did not mention in the tarot video, so I've already done 2 videos, last Friday and the Friday before. They are linked in the description box below. And that was pertaining to the guidebook. I really feel that in an oracle deck, there is hi Penny, some information that you may miss if you don't read the introduction to the guidebook. What I mean by this is that the artist, and if you're new to this, know that the artist and the deck creator may be 2 different people and they may be the same person. So I think this is part of the journey of reading the introduction to a guidebook to figure out if you're dealing with a team, or sometimes the publishing houses, especially the mass market publishing houses, have a team that creates oracle decks. And so the writer of the guidebook isn't even credited. Most of the time, you will know who has written the guidebook and who has created the art. Sometimes it's a curated deck as well. So you want to know if you're working with a single artist or multiple artists. But I think the most important reason for reading the introduction to the guidebook is that you will know where the creator is coming from and what the intention of the deck is. And there may be some backstory, or there may be a current that is important to the intention of the deck. Now, you might, after you read the introduction, go off in your own direction and find something very, very special with the deck. But I definitely think it's worthwhile reading the introduction. And generally speaking, and it's funny, I pulled out some oracles I haven't had out in a little while, and I actually found one that had cellophane on it. And I just took the cellophane off this deck. One of you made me purchase this a long time ago, like I'm going to say a year ago, and I haven't worked with it. So it's going to stay out for a little while. Hi, Kristen. Welcome. And Karen, welcome to you as well, too. Sacred Rebels, I've pulled out for today as well, also. And what I was about to say was that sometimes the introduction is a very quick read, and other times it might take an hour or more. If you have purchased an oracle deck that where the guidebook is written by Alana Fairchild, know that you are in for some deep reading. Alana tends to write a lot. There is an abundance of content. And I went back to read the introduction for Sacred Rebels, and wow, there is a lot of stuff in the introduction. I had completely, completely forgotten about that. So I think this is an important tip, especially if you're new to this. And this is not about reading about the spreads and how to shuffle the cards and how to lay them out and all of that. This is just about getting to know what where the deck is coming from. It's really important. I love it when is biographical information. We know if this person is new to this sort of system. You can learn a lot. Okay. All right. So let me go to the next point. I did type them out for you. And some of these I have um, shared with you in the previous video, so I'll go over them quite quickly. Again, I did do 2 videos on welcoming a new tarot deck and getting to know a new tarot deck, and those are linked below. I do this regardless of the whether it's oracle or tarot. And when I open the deck, I simply go through each of the cards and I have a look at them and say hello to the card and welcome them to my library. Um, it's a really nice process. It does not have to happen at your table. It could happen in the car before you even get home because you're so excited when you pick it up in the mailbox. It's a really beautiful process to welcome each of the cards and just to do it really, really slowly. It's a lovely thing to do with a cup of tea, a glass of wine, or whatever your beverage of choice is. Okay, so that's something that is kind of important to me. All right. Now, this is something that perhaps is more important to me than other people. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but not all oracle decks are numbered, and not all oracle decks guidebooks are in alphabetical order, even if there are no numbers on the cards. Yeah. And I'm sure you know a deck or two that fits into this category. Um, if if an oracle deck is numbered, then usually what happens in the guidebook is that you get to the 17th card. It's easy to find the 17th, the description for the 17th one. So you need to know if you are looking at referencing it by alphabetical order or by number. But in some cases, and this is an example of an oracle deck, and I'll show you the cards. So on this page, we have the BU card. And then on the next page, we have higher knowledge. And I do have the cards here. And I know I share this deck a lot. I'm hoping that it does come back in print and you can all get a copy of it. I think the French version is also out of print right now. This is one of my all-time favorite oracles. It's called Connected and Free. And on these cards, there are no numbers. There are no numbers. And the guidebook is not organized alphabetically. So here is F, there is C, there is a W, or M, sorry, I'm reading it upside down, R. So one of the things that I have done in several decks is that I have created at the back of the book my own index. And so I have a page number here, and I've also put the cards in. And if anybody wants this file, I'm happy to mail it to you. I've done this for a few different decks and put the cards in alphabetical order. This is very easy to do on Excel, and then just printed it and glued it in the back of the book. I have used this, oh my goodness, this book is falling apart. I don't tend to use this guidebook very much because I find the deck very intuitive. However, if I do want to read it, and I remember when I first got it, that this is by Laura Naletta, and the artwork is by Tegan Sweeney. It's out of Australia. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Mhm. So it's quite intuitive. You don't need the guidebook, but if you do need the guidebook, it's very frustrating because it's neither alphabetical nor numbered. Now, this was also the case in, let's see, what other one can I show you? So here is another one. And if I share my screen, you can probably see this. Present, share screen. Okay, so here, this is the, can I do this? Yeah. So this is the Pythia Botanica Oracle. And so I did the same thing. I created a sheet for it. Now, some of the creators do this after the fact, and you can find um, PDFs on their website. So sometimes this is done by mistake, and then later on, you'll be able to get more reference material. So it's always worthwhile to go, especially if it's a mass market deck, you wouldn't think to go to the creator's website, but most creators do have their own website, and you can often reference extra material there. And sometimes there is printable material. More common with a self-published deck, an indie deck, less common with a mass-produced deck. Okay. All right, Audrey, I did not see your typo, but anyway, let's go on. Okay. This is a really, this is something that I try to do to help to connect to a tarot deck. And in this case, as you were going through the deck, you would assume that there is also a masculine card. And I um, so as I'm going through the deck, I would be looking for pairs of cards. And one of the reasons that I look for pairs or sets of cards is just in to help me study the deck and help me to get to know the deck. So here, for example, is the final step card. And so I want to look for a card that signals new beginnings. And if there is a strength card, is there a card, or also we also have an endings card as well too. So I might put all of those cards into a particular into a group. Another pairing that I tend to do, especially with oracle decks, and this is really important to me, is I go through and I'm looking for cards that are in the light as opposed to cards that are in shadow. And this can be done pretty quickly. Love this card, one of my favorites. This, to me, this exercise is really important because I would probably put comparison in shadow. Because you want to know if an oracle deck is balanced between um, light and shadow, challenging and kind of you want to know if your oracle deck is a hug deck or if there are a significant number of challenging cards. And so as I go through here, maybe spiritual suffering would go there. And I'm doing this really quickly. I may have missed a challenging card. This is such an interesting keyword to have here. And I don't know what side you would put loudspeaker on. This is, this is a great card. And I can tell that the creator has studied yoga. This is a very yogic concept, and it would have been really great if this was put on two cards because then we could have the two concepts as a pair. But I'm going to put this in challenging because it's a very challenging concept. Expectations, fear, resistance. So you can see by the piles of cards that we definitely have more cards in the light than in shadow. But there are, hi Saskia, a significant number of cards. And I think this is an important thing to do. Some decks have an abundance of shadow cards. And if that were the case, I would want to be mindful of how and when or with whom I used them. Okay. So here is another example of doing that. This is the Soul Trees cards. And you can see in going through this particular deck, actually, I'm going to go through it. I may also pull out the black cards. Let's do that and have a look at the cards that are black in darkness. And that is another lovely grouping to do, is to separate the cards that are in the darkness and in the light, daytime and nighttime. Okay. But what I wanted to pull out here were, so patience is one of them. And you'll see what I'm doing in a minute. And in this deck, there are a number of cards that have challenging keywords, and the trees also reflect the challenges. So, getting familiar with different types of cards in a deck can be very, very useful. Okay. Um, I have in both of the decks I just showed you. So this deck comes with chakra cards. I have removed the chakra cards because I feel they are redundant. And while they are very beautiful, I think the root chakra card is one of the most beautiful cards in the deck. Um, I feel like they don't need to be there. And I use this lovely set of cards another for another purpose. And so sometimes you might find that in sorting out a deck, there there are ones that you don't want to work with, and there are no rules to working with oracles. So I think this number four, the sorting of can really give you a lot of great information about a deck. Okay. And in this deck as well too, there are chakra cards, and there's a card with all the chakras on it. And I just don't feel that it enhances the deck in any way. So I have a box that I keep, and it has all my extra cards and removed cards in it. So if I need them, they are easy to access. Okay. And if you do have any questions about anything that I'm saying here, please let me know. Okay. All right. So that is soul trees. And there are many soul tree decks now. I think there's three of them actually. Mm. Okay. Number 5. This is the deck that I just opened this morning. Kind of embarrassing, actually. It's been sitting in my cupboard. It's got still had cellophane on it. This is the Priestess Light. One of the things I like to do, and this helps me in getting to know a deck, is to pull out the cards that have common symbols. So I'm noticing there's an owl here. There's an owl on this card, and I think there were only 2 owl cards. So one of the things I do is I sit and contemplate the energy of owl. I may go to my Stephen Farmer book and read through the owl page. There's more than one owl page. Just really sit with the energy of owl. And this is something often that I do before I even get to reading the details of the guidebook. It feels like an important part of building a relationship with an oracle. So here there's a wolf, and there's wolves here, different kinds of wolves. Wolf for me is a spirit animal that I've met many times journeying, and I would want to sit and look at these 3 cards and to see if there's any difference with the energy of wolves, um, to see how the artist is using the energy of wolf, and if I resonate with the way that the artist is using the energy of wolf. And I went through, I know there's 2 tigers in this deck, and there is oh, these are the moon cards. That's another very important symbol for me, is to pull out in a deck all the full moon cards, especially. Sometimes I will even like all the moon cards, or the waxing cards, the waning cards. And while there is no system that is built into the deck, there may very well be um, a story among the cards that have a um, uh, a common symbol. Okay, yeah. And then this also I may do with color. And do I have an example of a deck that I could share with you? Let me see. Maybe. Actually, this is a good one. This is a really good one. Okay. This is an original version of Messenger Oracle by Raven Fallon. This deck. Mm. The current version of the deck is matte and borderless. Okay. I do have a side-by-side comparison of those two decks on my channel if you're interested. So what I'm suggesting here is that I just noticed something. Again, we could do dark and light, but I think beyond dark and light, there is something kind of interesting. And what I was noticing is that there are several cards that have this kind of super light blue energy. And I'm wondering if there is anything to these light blue cards. So that was just one thing that I noticed at a glance. I think there's only 3 of them. So I think getting familiar with color is can really help also in understanding the deck. Even though the colors may not be associated to a suit or to an element, it can definitely help you with getting to know the deck. Okay. So, and maybe you do these things when you are, and if you have other tips as well too, please be sure to share them. Okay. As part of, and I usually do this, and I mentioned this in the tarot video as well too. I find this to be an amazing exercise. It can give you. I just got an. This is the Urban Crow Tarot, and I just got an email today saying there is these decks are on sale as well as there's like a bonus deck, extra cards. My goodness. So in the process of choosing favorite and least favorite card, the reason that I do this is because I think is uh, this is a way to know how the deck is going to work with you. There is something to wow. Um, I'll just go through and I'll pick one that I don't like and one that I really do like. Such a pretty deck. It's really hard not to like a deck. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, so for example, this card here with the jar, the stones in the jar, there's water in the jar as well too. This is a card that I like because, and I don't know if it's my favorite card, but it reminds me of some different stories, different things, different parts of my life. And I think in finding a favorite card in a deck, you can more deeply understand its power and how long it's going to be hanging around for you on your table. And in choosing your least favorite card, I think this is going to tell you what the major lesson of the deck is going to be. It's also going to bring into your awareness something that it's probably an issue that you need to work with. And if there is, I don't know, like suppose that this card with all those empty chairs, keyword is anticipation, is a just kind of he struck a chord with you. And it's like, oh, that's an awful card. Why would the creator put that into the deck? Then you know that as your least favorite card, it's definitely worthy of journaling with and spending some time, and depending on how the least favorite card impacts you, it might be a deck that haunts you and what's the expression? Stalks you. So I think this is important to do. Yeah. Okay. Um, I am definitely a proponent of asking a question. And I think one of the I'm gonna actually shuffle this new deck because I think this will be good for me. I'm always a proponent of asking a question, and I have five, five, yeah, five what I think are excellent questions that you can vary and work with as a single card pull. And of course, there are a myriad of questions you can ask. I'm assuming that you all know that open-ended questions are easier to work with than closed-ended questions. And I don't really want to deal with closed-ended questions today, being yes or no questions. Mm, that's good to know, Danielle. Danielle, I'm just going to go to the comments. Yeah, this exercise is it really does teach us a lot. I can't say enough about it. Okay. All right. Let's go to the first question. Pick a verb that resonates with you. So, and this is for myself. At this time, and of course in the collective, this will resonate with some of you as well too. Where, into what is putting my energy? Mm, I want to modify this question by focusing my energy on what is everything else going to become so much easier. Okay, that's my question. Energy is such a precious thing, such a precious thing. So I'm asking about where to put my energy. And in putting my energy into this, will things flourish and become so much easier? So I would sit with this card, and of course, it reminds me of a strength card. it is also very symbolic of my, sun sign card. I am a Sun Leo. I also have, fire in my ascendant as well too, Sagittarius. Um, and I would also read the keywords, strength, fierceness, and family, and that is very interesting. I've been in contemplation, so in Aries, what was I looking at? What was I looking at? I was doing a little bit of my own, astrological chart, and the what I was diving into was that the strength with which I protect and lead and, um, be a role model for my family is really important at this time. And so this this card confirms what I was reading and studying this morning. It just feels very, very much in alignment. This tells me that it's okay to go big and to go bold, not to back off, to be confident. Okay, so I, I really, I really, this feels really great. Uh, Audrey says, I love my red seeds oracles. Anyone has them too. Yes, I have them, Audrey. I used them for weeks and weeks and weeks in the Facebook group as a prompt for our weekly discussion. They're absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Another question that I find, and I would not do this. Oh, sorry, didn't finish my thought. So I have initial reflections, and then after I've had my initial reflections, I would go to the guidebook and read the guidebook. And I may not. I may not because the card may prompt enough journaling, enough of a time for reflection that I don't even need to go to the guidebook. Okay, so I never begin with the guidebook, even if the card is a challenging one, or even if I really don't understand what's going on. Some oracle decks may even have words that are beyond your vocabulary, and you may not even understand the word that's on the bottom. So go to the artwork and write as much as you can before you turn to the guidebook. I think that's a really beautiful practice. I'm reading the chat. Thank you. Thank you for your supporting comments on that card. All right. So, number two, B. What do I release? What is no longer worthy of my energy? I feel like this is something you could do a question once a week. I think every week, at least, there's something that we need to get rid of. Um, we can't carry it all, and I don't think it's good for us to carry so much. Okay. So why don't you all do this with me? Shuffle an oracle deck, focusing on some variation of this language that resonates with you, and go ahead and put it into the chat. What is in my highest to release at this time, this week, actually right now? What do I no longer need to carry? What is no longer worthy of my energy? Jonathan's here. Namaste, Jonathan. I'm shuffling the Urban Crow Oracle by MJ Cooley. All right. Waterproof. That is interesting. I definitely will be reading the guidebook to see what MJ's take on this is. But I want to tell you, um, and I need to. I need to think about this because the last, well, especially 2 nights ago, I went for a long walk with Amber. It was dark. I didn't take an umbrella. I got absolutely soaked, and I had on a very warm jacket with, like, with a down lining, and I was drenched when I got home. So this is really funny. Um, so water runs off my back. There's something here about, letting go of being so tough. I am a very sensitive person, and I feel a lot. I really do feel a lot. So perhaps letting go of, um, the need, and I think Donna's definitely getting there. Um, there are, as with the previous question, there's a lot of people that I protect and I take care of, and I'm often the one that is listening, and there isn't space for me to share, because everybody else has so much going on. So this is perhaps a reminder for me to let go of that layer of protection and to know that, it's not good for me. It's not good for me at all. Okay, so let's go to some of your comments here. So Mira shuffled the Hope Oracle and got transformation. So what does that mean to release transformation, to let go of transformation? Perhaps that is a message of being in the present, being here and being now, and know that everything is absolutely perfect as it is. And sometimes the your intention, the question can make it very difficult to interpret the card when it doesn't seem to fit right away. But always go back to your question. Okay, so this is a question of release. Uh, and I think you've got that there. And I think the key word here is trying, right? Transformation is not about doing something. It's about co-creating with spirit and allowing energy to move through us, right? So dimming down the power energy. Thank you, Jonathan. I really appreciate it. Okay. All right, shall we do another one? I've got 5. Actually, let's go through them all, just so if you're interested, you can write them down, and then we'll do one more. Um, see, how do I make, and you fill in the blank here, exhaustion, pain, frustration, a catalyst for change? I think this is a really good question. So instead of being lost in negative energy, we ask how we can use it as a gift. Okay. Mm, all right. And I'm looking at Christina Nanda and Donna's discussion here about fear. And so, yes, we all need to release fear all the time, but there may be a particular situation that comes to mind. And so, rather than looking at the message from a global perspective, try to find something personal to bring your story into the message. Is what I mean. Um, this is an interesting one. I'm going to shuffle for this one, or maybe the next one. Okay, let's do this one. I'm going to use soul trees. I'm actually pretty good at this. So I'm gonna do the next one. You do the one you want. This is the last one, and then we'll go on to something else. What have I forgotten? What am I not seeing? What am I not seeing? I would almost expand on this because I think this question is connected to more. And this has to do with impatience over something. Okay. So, spirit, you know what I'm talking about. What am I not seeing? In terms of my impatience over the things you know that I'm thinking about. Okay. Yeah, I like that, Donna. Okay, what am I not seeing? Ooh, cards did something really funny. Hmm, this is interesting. I really like this question. I also like Donna's variation there as well, too. Donna says, "Tell me what you want me to know." Adventure. And it's funny, when I was driving my daughter to school this morning, I said to her, "Where would you like to travel? Where would you like to go next?" And we just had this really spontaneous question about uh, having an adventure. So this feels also very, very relative. This card, so I love this deck because some of you know that I'm a yogi and I build in chakra associations and all that kind of stuff. Bye, Jonathan. Take care. And I'm looking at the deep blue that is in the trunk of the tree and the green of the two branches that are going out to the center. Um, and so one of the things I do with this deck is to also lean into the associated chakra colors when I'm doing my journaling. And my point of sharing these questions with you is to understand if you ask something like, what is the energy of this day? I find I find it is there's so many other better questions that can be asked. And one of the things you can do as a tarot or an oracle reader is to start to create a collection of questions, great questions. Um, and I'm sure you can Google lots and lots of, I'm sure there's lots of great blogs that you can go to and start to create a list of questions. Donna is looking for a tarot deck that leans heart chakra. Whoa, that leans heart chakra. So I would so when you say heart chakra, I'm going compassion. This is a very interesting question, Donna, and I know this is gonna take us off topic here. And I wanna share, let me take that banner off as well too, and then we'll come back. Um, Jen, Science to Soul Tarot, who now has a new channel name, um, did gratitude challenge several years in a row, and I did a response to that, and I did a compassion challenge 1 year. And why I'm mentioning this, Donna, is that gratitude and compassion, gratitude specifically self-compassion, are two very, as you know, powerful medicines for the heart chakra. So one of the ways you could make any tarot deck or any oracle deck a deck of heart is to simply ask it, where would I benefit from, focusing gratitude this day? And you simply shuffle the deck and you focus on, I think this is a really good question because this is also a wonderful thing for all of you to do with oracle decks is to do a gratitude challenge, to do a gratitude practice with your oracle deck. And the card I drew was unique gifts. And then I would sit and reflect on that. And so anything to do, so what I'm saying, Donna, is I don't think it has to be the deck, but it has to be the way that you use the deck that can amplify the energy of the heart chakra. Mhm. And you were asking tarot or oracle. There are two. One that comes to mind is the Future Ancestors Tarot. I find the Future Ancestor Tarot, Future Ancestor Tarot is just full of compassion. It's very much, I find that a very heart-centered deck. And another one I was using recently, my goodness, what was it? It's one that I think the Tarot of the Strange Branches is also very heart-centered, but that's not the one that I was thinking of. Okay, all right. One of you asked about the Kantaji Oracle, and I'm just going to mention this. I'll share more about this next week. This is our card for this week in the Facebook group. Wingless, you fall into the sea. These are the backs of the cards. I will talk about the Kantaji next week because the Kantaji does have a system that is built into it. So I'm going to include this one in next week's discussion. Okay. It has a great guidebook. All right. Now, Audrey is in the chat, and I want to mention one more thing. This is a brilliant way to connect with your cards. And even if you are not comfortable in cutting cards, this particular deck, and I can't even remember, this is not the first iteration of the deck. I gave away my other copy because these backs are different. I think this is the edition that came out before the matte borderless edition. And so I freed it of its borders and then edged it in blue. Now, the process of edging a deck, whether you trim it or not, is a lovely process because you get to lay out all the cards in front of you on a table as the edges are dry and look at them. And often there's a process of wiping them because, especially if you are edging a deck that has a glossy finish, you're going to have to, there will be smudges and there will be, lots of wiping that's involved. But it's a really great exercise to do. And I have thoroughly enjoyed it and modified lots and lots of decks. Um, Sometimes freeing them of their keywords as well too, because I feel that the keywords take away from the power of the deck for me, or there are a significant number of keywords that don't resonate. And as I look at the cards, I think, wow, this is such a beautiful deck. I wish those words weren't on there. So take them off, cut them off. And you don't need to cut all four borders. A lot of times, now, granted, these are not all tarot. Like with the first edition Marielle, I just took off the side borders. And I've done this with lots of decks, especially Schiffer decks, taken off the side borders and left the top and bottom borders. Um, this is an example of taking off three borders. Now, I do not recommend trimming US Games cardstock. It's very thick. It's very hard to get even, but it's a really beautiful way to get to know the deck. What else is colored here? Surprisingly not, because I have a lot of new decks on my table. I'll show you my Tarot of the She. Um, so Tarot of the She, I edged in black, and like the Marielle, I took off the side borders. And I think it's a lot less intimidating to take off two borders than it is to take off four. But there have been numerous decks where I have simply just colored the edges and not cut anything. And that's a lot less intimidating than uh, cutting if you've never cut. So, yeah. So these are a few examples of how I work with Oracle decks. And when I come back next week, I'm going to talk about Oracle decks that have a system and some of my approaches for working with these decks, and some that have a very complex system, and some whose system is not quite so complex. So that's going to be the theme of next week. Kantaji, I'll be talking about, which is quite a simple system. The deck that I just reviewed on Wednesday, the Glowwood Oracle, I'll talk about that. Transparent Oracle, which is one that is also new to me. I'll share that with you, as well as the Shaman's Oracle, which I have done a whole video on if you're interested. That is an oracle that has a really cool system to it. And so I'll be sharing that with you. Yeah. One more thing. If you want to hang around, I will share one more thing with you, because this is a fun thing to do. If you are a collector of plant decks, if you don't know me, I am a bit of a, what would you call me? I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes, I have a lot of spreadsheets. I love Excel. So, uh, share screen, window. Okay. All right. This particular spreadsheet, I'll zoom in so you can see what I did. And this was a few years ago. I was doing a plant oracle video, and I took a bunch of plant oracles and I looked across them to see if they had the same keyword. And so let's go to borage. So here you can see borage. And this was one of the few that had common keyword across several decks. And I just found this absolutely fascinating. And I did this also for I've done this with my shamanic decks. I've done it with some animal decks as well too. So pulling out all of the elephant cards and comparing the elephant cards across a few different decks. I mean, it's kind of a nerdy thing to do, but it's great, great fun. It's really fun. And if you want any of my lists, I'm happy to share them with you. Okay. I really should update them because I have many more, and some of them I don't own anymore. All right. So just a little of my own PR. I'm just going to remind you that Tarot Foundations starts very, very soon. We have a tiny group, and if you're interested, this is a 36-week course, and we're going to break down the tarot. Um, the the framework is astrological, but it's not an astrology course. So we're gonna looking breaking down the cards in that way, and if you're interested in studying with me, this is an opportunity to study pretty much for a whole year, and please go to my shop. You can have a look there. You're welcome, Donna. Have a lovely evening, and I hope the weather stays good. Okay. If that is too much to bite off, I'm doing mini workshops, and these will be on approximately the first Saturday of every month. Uh, this will not be a Zoom. This is gonna Bye, Saskia. This is gonna be a live stream. So Tarot Through the Planets is a 3-hour private live stream, and as long as you register before the live stream, you'll get the handouts and all of that, okay? And registering in advance means you can chat in the live stream as opposed to um, just watching and paying for the replay. Okay. So those are the two big tarot courses that are starting very, very soon. Yeah. And if you are interested in traveling to see me, I am hosting a Reiki training. Um, Starts on the new moon in April. It's a 5-night adventure into self-healing and self-care. And so all of this stuff is available on my website, and it would be great to connect with some of you more deeply. And I want to thank you all very much for being here today and wish you a lovely weekend ahead. Namaste.